Hey, it's your girl Nikki Nellis, and welcome to another industry night. Here I am back at Rim Tang. I'm so grateful because the last couple shows have been here with the Yume Hospitality Group. You know them for Kyogen and Yume Sushi, and here at Rim Tang. And I had such a great show today. I'm so excited. We talk a lot about the hospitality industry on the show. Hello, it's called Industry Night. And we have been talking for years now about the changes that are happening in the hospitality industry. And today's guests are breaking the mold on restaurants. So, John Sybert and Jill Tyler, they are of Tail of Goat, which closed in December. And everybody was like, oh my God, why is it closing? This is a Michelin-starred restaurant. But they are doing something really different. And actually, it kind of refers back to guests I had 2 weeks ago from Birdie's in Austin. So if you haven't listened to that show, take a listen and maybe you'll see where the show is going. But John and Jill are doing something really exciting here. They'll be opening up in April with a concept called Rye Bunny, and we're going to get into it. And then later in the show, I got Chef Peter and Chef Mama, and we are making a Thai papaya salad. And I learned so many things in that short time, and I cannot wait to show it off to you. Oh, and one more thing. I have a new sponsor of the show. It's Maryland Caviar. If you follow me on my Instagram, you'll see that I've been eating quite a bit of it because it's delicious. And Chef John and Chef Peter are going to both tell us how to eat that caviar, why to eat that caviar, and what they do with it. And that'll be later in the show. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk with Jill and John, formerly of Tailed Goat and of the future Rye Bunny. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, I'm so excited for my guests who are joining me today. I got John Sybert and Jill Tyler. Now, you know them from Tail of Goat, the Michelin-starred darling in Adams Morgan. And they're closing it. And we were all crying. We're like, what do you mean you're closing it? What's happening? And then I'm just going to tell you the story because I think it's really funny. I was in the car with Kelly Robinson and her wife for Chefs for Equality with a bunch of other food people. We were going to all those restaurants, and we were at Perry's, and somebody brought up the closing of Tail Up Goat, and the person in the back was like, yeah, I heard they're doing something else. And I was like, what do you mean you know? You're not even in the food space.
Someone's got the good gossip.
Somebody had the gossip. So in to talk about what they're doing with Rye Bunny, which is only funny enough because we talked about it 2 weeks ago with Chef Tracy Malachek Ezekiel and Arjav, her husband, Ezekiel, at Birdie's. That's the inspiration for Rye Bunny. But we're going to get into all those details. So thank you both so much for joining me. And we've been talking for the last half hour, and we've just gone through all of it. We've had so much fun. So I want to kind of start from the beginning because, Jill, I'm trying to remember where I met you. Was it at Comey? Did I meet you?
That's
in the early days at Comey?
Was it? Because Comey was even pre-proof, right?
Oh yeah, Comey is totally pre-proof.
Okay, so I think because I was like, it had to be proof or Comey.
Yes.
So I think it was, and I think it was.
Yes. So when you were at Comey, is that when they transitioned, or was it before they transitioned? Because we used to go when they still had the pizza oven.
I was not there for the pizza oven.
Okay.
I was there in the early days of the tasting menu. I think when I started, the tasting menu was like $56.
Okay. Oh my God. And then you went to Proof.
Yes.
And you worked with Mark Culler.
He's one of my mentors, and I
miss him every day. Me too.
I was so lucky to work with him, and he was so incredible with us when we were opening Tail Up Goat. He was so sick, and he was like, come over, we're going through your financials, and we'd sit there at his house, and he'd be like, nope, change this, or and offer his help. Yeah.
And then where did you two meet?
So, famously in our group of friends, my stage at Comey was Jill's last day.
Okay.
And I walked in and was looking around, trying to figure out where I was going. And apparently she, took me to the right person, whoever was supposed to be, my
because she's
my manager
another
for the day.
stage. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so she very much remembered meeting me, and I very much did not remember meeting her.
Accurate.
Oh my God. I'm so insulted for you.
I had flown in from Chicago, where I'm originally from. It was I'd gotten off a plane and went directly to this restaurant, wildly nervous, as you'll probably even see through this interview. I'm a pretty nervous human being in general. And so I, regretfully did not remember her, but luckily we crossed paths multiple times after that, and eventually.
Okay, but where you're
yada
yada over the information.
To ask me out.
Yeah, I asked him out. Years later, there was a summer where I just kept being like, "Hey, where might he be after work?" And I just kind of kept looking around.
God, you were on the hunt.
I was.
I love this.
There was lots of Cashin's late nights. The downstairs basement bar at Pizza Paradiso.
Where were you cooking?
A lot of group hangs. He was cooking at Comey.
You were at Comey.
Yeah.
And then
I staged that day and started, moved to DC a couple months later. Started the job.
And was that the kind of
food? Eventually tracked me down.
Is that the kind of food that you wanted to be doing?
I was looking to be with people who really cared about what they were doing. And I had not found that in a while in Chicago. And I ended up in the DC area for like completely unfood related reasons and didn't think I'd be in the DC area for long. I love Chicago. Actually terribly miss it, but it's even colder there right now than it is here. So that's a no, but it is especially for the Virgin Island girl.
It is a fabulous city.
Yes, it is lovely.
It's from like June to September.
June is always the greatest time.
June to July.
June is good. June is good. June is the thing that sells you on Chicago. When you go in June, you're like, God, what are people complaining about? It's so nice.
Chicago, the folks are amazing. It has one of the best food scenes in the world, probably. But so anyway, I really just wanted to find a place where I was like very much at a crossroads in my career where I was like trying to take it very seriously, but not having a lot of luck in getting into places that did that, where I actually like felt at home.
But at that time, Johnny was very serious.
Yeah, totally.
He was stone cold serious.
Very serious, but also, the hospitality end of everything, and just kind of taking care of like the people around you plus the guests in a an earnest and authentic way was something that like not all places still do, but it's definitely become more of the norm, and places that we all would consider like great restaurants or places you want to go out. The industry has just taken itself a lot more seriously since then, which was almost 20 years ago now when that day happened.
Yeah,
so but we've been married 15 years. And,
my God.
Not long. Got together not long after I started there. So.
But I think there's two ways to look at being serious when it comes to restaurant dining and cooking. Like there's the serious intention for really good food and good service. And then there's the serious almost to the fault with the laser intention, like the tweezer food and et cetera, which I don't have a problem with because it can be delicious, but there's no hospitality sometimes on the plate.
Totally.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah, and I think what I'm actually talking about is something separate, but I'll touch on that as well. I think what I meant was places where the folks who work there wanted to be there and hadn't like flunked out of something else, or were like working in a restaurant to pay for this school or that thing, which is still a part of the industry, and it's a great part of the industry. Like I'm a big fan, but choosing hospitality as a career and wanting to take that seriously.
He had forever for that time.
Yeah. And I think that's really what I found there, and absolutely changed my career in that way. And as far as like the intentionality and like heart on a plate, I think that's a really good way to put it. I think if you're taking like it has to come from a place of like genuine inspiration,
right?
Or like a really great memory of a dish or something like that. A lot of the food I cook is like things I've had in the past, or the couple of things, and I hope my mom never hears this, that she actually made well. And I'll say this to her face.
I'm sending it to her. I'm sending it to her.
And like those, I think those are the things that kind of inspire me when I cook, or for me, just the
And
seasons.
When did you guys come up with Tail Up Goat?
We started talking about it not
13 years ago?
too long into our relationship, once we started taking each other seriously as partners. And it kind of like, grew organically over a couple of years.
Yeah.
And let's talk, for those who maybe don't really know the story of Tail Up Goat, let's talk about sort of its initial inspiration, how it was executed. I mean, it took off very quickly, very early, with the Michelin-starred.
We were so young and naive.
Also, right place, right time, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
that.
So
DC
young.
was blowing up.
Yeah,
It was 2016.
2016 was the year, Bonnet.
Yeah.
He named it the best city in America. Michelin came to the city. And, that was pre the days when Michelin demanded money to come to a city. I mean, it's a legacy city. So there was so much kind of happening at that moment. And what I still think is interesting about where Tail Up Goat is you guys were sort of bringing back that area. Because at that time, everybody was opening up either on 14th Street or in Shaw or Navy Yard, or, the wharf was percolating. So you sort of went to an area that not a lot of people were gravitating to for new restaurants. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we lived in Adams Morgan at the time and had been there a long time. So for us, we wanted to open, when we were thinking about it, a neighborhood restaurant, the kind of restaurant we'd want to go on our days off, the kind of food that we found craveable and hoped other people would, an interesting list of things to sip on, and just the warm, kind service that kind of makes, your shoulders relax and makes you feel good being there. And so those were the ideas that we kind of tried to go back to time and time again as we, reinvented ourselves over the years at times. But that was really kind of the crux of what we were doing and trying to create. And we found it in our building. Our landlord really wanted us on the front side. On
where the coffee shop is?
Yeah, the coffee shop or One Medical. We had a lot of talks with them.
Where there currently is a coffee shop.
There's
next month, you never know.
And then
that space has changed over so many times.
They cannot keep it there.
Yeah.
I know.
And then Bob, our landlord, was like, I'm just really worried. What happens if you don't make it? No restaurant's going to want this spot on the side because there's no walk-by traffic. And I was like, no, it's so special because it doesn't feel like a mixed-use building. You're looking out on brownstones and that kind of thing.
So it's a beautiful street to look
it's a beautiful street.
Right.
And then shortly after opening, Bob called. He's like, I should have never said that to you. You all are crushing. You're great. And then when we were wrapping up Tail Up Goat, when we realized we were going to be closing that, a year and a half ago, because you have to give landlords all the notice.
Right.
We started looking at other properties. We were looking in DC, we looked in Virginia,
because
we looked in
Because
Maryland.
you knew you wanted to do something else, or because, were you closing Tail Up Goat because you were like, our time in this space and Tail Up Goat is done? Or, what was happening for you both at that time?
So there was a very organic impetus in that our lease was up.
Okay.
We had a 10-year lease, and, that was it. That was what started the conversation. And then, once we kind of got the ball rolling on having this conversation that I don't think either of us really ever wanted to have, because
it's your baby.
We love that place. And
I think we thought we'd try to go for 25 years, like Zuna Cafe in San Francisco.
But once that conversation got rolling, it was very, obvious very quickly that it just wasn't going to, living through 5 years of a, pandemic and after pandemic were, transformative in the future of that business. And at that point, we were just kind of, we discussed and looked into everything else on earth that we could, wanted to do with our lives. And,
So you brought up the pandemic. Let's talk about that. So the pandemic was at your 4-year point, 4.5-year point, maybe?
Almost 5.
Right, almost 5.
Yeah.
So, you were really doing well.
Yeah.
Lots of accolades. A huge neighborhood spot, right? The neighborhood, not only were you a destination, Bridge and Tunnel, but also for the neighborhood. You accomplished both.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happens, and you guys really changed, you changed fast. There were, don't take this the wrong way, please, John, but
oh, no.
the women-led businesses, to me, as the outside looking in, and the one who people reached out to the most, were the ones who were moved the fastest, were the most creative, were okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and also the ones that lent a hand to anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we were so lucky in that, everyone running our AMW has incredible talent, but Kathy was the one leading the charge during that time. And I don't know what restaurants would have looked like in DC without her leadership.
Agreed.
I mean, it was incredible, and she was on the phone with people accepting calls from 6 a.m. to midnight. I had so many random time calls with her.
Can I tell you one time I was on the phone with her?
Yeah.
And we were just catching up, and she was like, there was a chef at her door.
I believe
during the pandemic. And I was like, does he have a mask? I mean, I don't even think we were wearing masks yet. I was like, you cannot go down there.
Yeah.
She's like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I was like, tell him to stand at the end of the walkway.
Yeah.
And not to come to your house anymore. I mean, it's
passed by eye contact. We all
right,
know it.
Right? Like, I can't come and see you. Like, neither can he. So, but no, I mean, yes, she was
incredible. And she like opened
Yep.
it up to all restaurants in the city. And they were, it wasn't like you had to be just a member. And that's actually when we became a member. I was like, how have we not been part of this organization? And watching what she did and the resources they offered, I was like, it's really important that we support this work. And that's, we became a member and stayed a member. And so I think that was really important. I think having the IRC and being a member of that, the Independent Restaurant Coalition, and like lobbying on a national level for how important restaurants were, I think all of that really helped us too, when it gave us some purpose, because those first few weeks when we were at home, it was like so hard to go from going to doing nothing and kind of feeling
not
useless.
knowing what to do. I think that's the worst thing for either of us, is just like not
sitting still.
We can outwork any problem, but if we don't know how to even start addressing it, that was terrible.
Yeah, it was a problem we couldn't really outwork. And so we just tried a lot of things, and we were really lucky. So much of our team stayed with us, and we found ways,
I will echo what you said to start this, and that, like, first of all, we would not have made it through if it hadn't been for Jill. I was a mess the entire first year of that, I think. And not only did you get us and the restaurant through it, but you helped a lot of other restaurants get through it, and the IRC and the HRC and everything else that you ended up doing. HUA, sorry.
Yeah.
No, there was so many groups that came together to find ways to support.
Yeah.
But not only that, like to get creative. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? The system was broken, and irrecoverably so. And now, what I think is really interesting about where you both are now is that you are taking a new tact, right? Totally. Because I truly believe that the industry is in a huge pendulum swing at the moment. And the way it's been working no longer works. It's not sustainable.
No.
That line, razor thin margins, like it was said 100,000 times during the pandemic. Razor thin margins, thin margins. And I was like, nobody knows what that means.
Yeah.
That just sounds thin, but it still sounds like somebody's making money, right? Like it didn't, it did not clarify what was really happening and how the math works for people in the hospitality industry. And we were talking about this off air. I don't know that it's necessary that the diner needs to understand how the math works. I don't know how the math works in the movies. I don't know how the math works in a doctor's office. Like, I don't know how it works. But the industry has been beating a drum pretty steadily that there is a problem and expecting the diner to care. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think they do.
Yeah, well, I don't think your night out should have to be worried about all of that, right? I think what's really important about all of that when realizing something needs to shift is like kind of making scary moves and making that shift. And so, we had a restaurant that had a lot of acclaim, and we had an incredible team, and we were doing so many things right, and so many things in ways I'm so proud of. But at the end of the day, as a business, it wasn't working. And so when the lease ended, that's when we really were, well, before the lease ended, but as we started to think about what was next, we were like, can a restaurant be sustainable? Is this a model?
To do the things that
meant
a lot to us.
Can we drill down just a bit, if you don't mind getting really honest? Because I think people really need to hear it. What wasn't working for you?
The numbers.
So
I think Philippa was always very fortunate. We were busy. What busy meant changed drastically from 2019 to 20.
We're still down 2020.
Yeah, hugely.
Turnover, right? It's you don't instead of doing like 2.5, you do 1.5.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. We're still down about 20%. Okay.
So, I think we were still busy and doing all the things, but wages went up drastically. The price of everything went up hugely. And by everything, I mean everything. The napkins in the restroom, every piece of food on the plate. And some of those things were
think about how much gloves
4 or 5x.
Oh, sure.
Cases of gloves were suddenly, over $200, where we used to pay like $30. And that lasted a while. That was a supply chain issue specifically, but like those... It went up, I think it was 5x from the time we opened, which was not in tracking with every other number in the country for any reason. yeah, and like we at the end of the day, we're just to do what we want to do and the way we want to do it. You couldn't turn a profit.
To run the kind of restaurant we wanted to run, that meant we were investing in labor and trying to make sure that we were treating our employees in ways that we would have wanted to be treated before we opened a restaurant. We had a lot of people along the way show us good ways to do that. And so, everyone on our team we offered healthcare for and covered 50% of it from month 1 and half starting, or 50% in month 1 and in month 6, 100%. And all of our part-time employees were eligible for healthcare. And after a period of time, we would also cover part of that. And so healthcare was a big thing. Healthcare is really expensive. We were spending...
Healthcare is a very important thing.
Yes.
And the fact that for so long, restaurants didn't even... it wasn't a part of the conversation.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And I understand why, because it's expensive.
Yeah, our healthcare bill on any given month was between like $9,000 and $13,000.
Wow.
And then payroll was about $100,000 every 2 weeks. And so there are all these costs that I totally don't think a diner needs to worry about or think about when they're enjoying dinner. But I think a high level understanding of why things are expensive on menus and why things have gotten more expensive on menus is because of all of these things.
Sure.
And the problem with that is to raise menu prices to where, it would have been sustainable. You'd be looking at what we, have discussed here is wanting to be like just a good neighborhood restaurant,
right?
As being like a ridiculously big night out for us to make a margin, one that was profitable, not but also like on par with any other business period, and outside of restaurants. And just
which is kind of what brought us to what is next.
Well, I want to get into what is next, but I feel like this is the perfect moment. Since we're talking about
caviar break.
I feel like it's a caviar break moment.
Caviar break moment.
So I'm very excited.
This is my favorite kind of break moment.
Right? Like now everybody's going to want to come on the show and be like, I hear you have caviar.
But there should be maybe a caviar break
at every show. I know, I'm working on it, right? So,
wow, that's a lot of caviar.
This is, I don't mess around. Just
I was like, this
is Maryland Caviar. They are a sponsor of the show. This is their Imperial Gold Caviar. It is Caspian, from Caspian Sea caviar. And I'd love if you would open it, John. Yes. And while we're here and you're opening it up, I'd love to talk about caviar a little bit. I'm very impressed with this product. I just think it's delicious, but I don't want to give you what I think. I'm kind of curious. When was the first time you both had caviar? Can you remember your first caviar experience?
Mine would have been when I was in Chicago, probably somewhere. I'm going to ruin your label here.
No, that's okay.
Somewhere after culinary school, or like in culinary school. I didn't grow up in like a very food. Yeah, really
Give me that.
Fun with that.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Food-centric family. Mm-hmm. So yeah, somewhere in there, and I kind of fell into food a little bit backwards.
Okay, so. Jill.
I think it was probably when I worked at Comey. I don't think I would have ever had it before then.
Flip the spoon around.
Yeah. So I think that's when one of my first formative caviar.
Does it feel like I know what I'm doing with the caviar?
More than I do with this spoon. I have one of those fancy little keys that are just like very easy to open up. Okay. I don't want it to fly everywhere.
I know.
I'm so terrified of ruining our caviar break.
But John made me caviar butter pasta. And that was one of my formative caviar moments.
That is an incredible way to do
There was extra caviar that we were sent home with from a shift, and he made that all for us.
Nothing. I love to just, if I have excess caviar, because who doesn't, right? Who doesn't have excess caviar?
Right. Yeah, as one does.
I just like to scramble some eggs.
Oh, that's a good one too.
And just top it with caviar.
Delicious.
And it's so good.
That's even more work than I normally put into it, because my favorite way to eat caviar is with a good plain Lay's potato chip and some good creme fraiche and some chives. And we have our closest friends who now live in New Orleans.
I feel like we're all waiting here.
Let's do it. Okay, great.
I'd like you to dig in.
Yeah, that's
they
our
also
move
do
always.
it as mashed potato toppers. We had actually mashed potatoes with them in New Orleans this Saturday, topped with caviar, and that was delicious.
That sounds good too.
It was really good.
So pretty.
Oh wow, it was lovely.
So, as a chef, talk me through what you're tasting. Talk me through what it feels like for you.
It's very buttery, much more buttery than I would have thought from initially opening it. Yeah, Sunny is lovely. It's very It's very mellow on the salinity. The butteriness is just like jumping out at you. It's
creamy,
it's
right?
It's very good. And lovely little pearls.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Like you look, I prefer a larger pearl that pops than like the smaller. You know, the kind of the smaller ones tend to have that more salinity forward kind of thing happening. But that's very lovely.
That was delicious.
Okay, so as a part of our caviar moment,
Not on that.
what
Yes, ma'am.
if you were to have this caviar, given now that you have the texture and the flavor, how would you incorporate it into a dish?
So, as I said earlier, my favorite way is honestly like no matter with I could do it in the restaurant or outside,
right?
Like potato chips. Probably actually wouldn't do that with this because I think it would get lost a little bit in there because it doesn't have that like huge salinity punch. I think this would be really lovely with like a poached fish and like a like nice, very light on the acid like beurre blanc or something like that, and like just like add it to the sauce there and pour it right over the fish. I think that'd be really lovely and keep with the seafood kind of like profile because it is so
rich,
creamy and rich, and kind of play into that a little bit more.
Oh, I love that.
Lovely.
What a great, I never think about caviar. I just think about caviar like this, like, doing a bump of it or, doing it on a Bellini. And I think people are so used to it just topping things instead of it being
if I'm going to really like get into it, I prefer to add it to something, make it part of like a sauce or something like that. It's like a very simple preparation where it can still stand out and be the star of the show, but I think it's kind of more fun to do that way sometimes than unless again you just happen to find yourself with some extra caviar in the fridge and it's 3 a.m. and you need a snack. And
and then
potato
you just
chips and creme fraiche.
I
Trust
am
me.
totally with you on that. All right. Thank you for the caviar moment. Do you want more, everybody?
I'm good right now.
Is everybody good?
Delicious.
Okay, it is delicious.
I ruined your label. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. That's okay. All right. So moving right along, let's get into Rye Bunny. So you're at this moment with Tailed Goat. 10 years is up. The lease is up. You want to do something else. What you're doing is no longer sustainable in the way you want to do it. What happens next?
So we had a lot of talks about maybe we go and work for someone else. Maybe we do something completely different. But ultimately, like, we love restaurants. We've been doing it for 10 years. I also was like, I don't know if we can work for someone else. We've been our own
I don't know how you can work.
Anymore.
I mean, once you work for yourself, I think that's
really hard.
Really tough.
Really tough. And I was actually, our job who you chatted with a couple weeks ago, I was on the phone talking with him, and he was like, you're going to open a counter service restaurant. And I was like, I'm not opening a counter service restaurant.
I'm sure that you were like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like,
right?
I was like, I know.
And you had not been to Birdie's.
I had not been yet.
Okay.
Been following along, chatting with him as they opened it. We keep in touch, and he was like, come do this. Like, come stage with me. And I was like, John, should I go stage? John's like, yeah, do it. I mean,
can I stop you there?
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that you can stage in the front of the house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just an interview. It's a long trail interview.
Yeah, it's like spending time seeing how the front of house, because everyone does things a little differently.
But do you work when you're staging?
It's kind
because
of
you
like
stage
following.
in a kitchen.
Yeah.
You work.
Yep.
Right.
It's a lot of more like following and observing. So I like kind of hung out, at the counter watching how they greet guests when they come in. I like followed food runners a bit. I followed our job around. I watched their beverage person. So I would say a little more passive than a stage in the kitchen where they're actually like showing off their skills. So it's more like kind of informational and like learning and soaking it in. I was there to be a sponge. And about an hour in, our job was like, so what are you going to do? And I was like, I hadn't even talked to John yet. I was like, we're going to open a counter service restaurant.
I'm good with being told what to do most of the time anyway. So it's
but what does that mean? I mean, I did. How does that work? And how does that work with your food? Because we haven't really talked about the kind of food you served really at Tailed Goat and the menus, and you guys vacillated. You did a la carte, you did tasting menus.
What didn't we do?
Listen.
Once pandemic.
But then I think you have to stay fresh. You have to try different things. So what does John's food look like with Rye Bunny, and what does Jill's hospitality look like? Let's start with you.
I think with the food, I'm always going to be me. I think my voice is led by the farms that I work with, and that's always going to be the case. Whenever anybody asks me, like, how do you create a dish? I'm like, well, it starts with me staring at my computer and reading the produce list, or like talking to, Clay from Autumn Olive to figure out what kind of pig parts he needs to sell that week if I can't get a whole or half pig from him, and figuring out what, how that kind of all comes together, and it starts there, and it's always going to do that. So to some extent, my food's always going to kind of look like me. For this new restaurant, I want to lean more into comfort foods.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything specific to any like cuisine. But I really want to kind of lean towards the things that I eat when I go out. We don't get to go out all that often, which is a shame. But when I do, unless I'm in a restaurant that is like very, very well known for one thing, or obviously like tasting menu, which like easy, like you just, you throw in the towel and let them serve you what they will. I tend to gravitate towards really comforting dishes. And so I want to lean into that a little bit more and kind of go back to doing some more like very shareable things, whether they're like larger dishes that are a little bit more shared.
There'll be another bread.
Yeah, there'll be a bread program, pasta program, which is kind of always going to be like who I am as a chef as well. I love carbs.
Well, when you say comforting, I think of carbs, and so, like your bread was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So
and that stuff will kind of always be part of what I do. But for me, it's kind of leaning more into that, more like, I love vegetables. Composed salads are things that, so super boring thing to say out loud. Composed salads, but like going more into veggies and like, it'd be easier if I had an answer that was like, we're doing this very specific cuisine and this very specific type of it. But for me, it's like, well, it's like seasonal food, hopefully done well with the twist that I tend to bring to things, which is taking like just a little bit of a different like viewpoint towards things.
Texture. I think you play with texture really well.
I think so too. Thank you.
But if we can just stop on composed salads for a second, they're so important.
They're so
because a good salad is amazing,
and
it shows the intention of the kitchen.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Whenever we go out, we're really heavy on veggies, and then tend to do like one or two like larger things that are like richer and heavier and probably more like protein centric. But like there will be a whole fish. There's going to be at least a half chicken, if not a whole chicken. There will be a steak of some sort, because I think most restaurants, if not all, should have a steak on the menu. That's I think it's like hitting the notes that everybody wants to be hit with when you go out to eat, so that no matter whether you're like somebody who doesn't go out very often, or like not necessarily a very adventurous eater, or somebody who goes out all the time and like wants a a good staple dish, or like there will be a few more interesting things on there. I want it to be as accessible as humanly possible for as many diners as we can are lucky enough to get in our doors. And I think with the as it relates to this larger conversation of the counter model and everything there, from as I've we talked about earlier in this conversation in our little chat before we got rolling here, like we did a lot of different things at Tail Up Goat, especially after pandemic hit in particular, and I'm like really excited to have one menu to worry about a night, and not like our we're going to cook for you, and then our regular menu, and then of course there's dietary restrictions and everything else, which we're still going to be as accommodating as we possibly can be. So it was like, it ended up being a lot of different, menus to kind of worry about for an evening. So with this restaurant, I'm like excited to have one thing that we can really hone in on and
be simpler.
Yeah, exactly.
And given your dedication to hospitality, what does a counter service restaurant, how does that work?
I think that was my biggest when our job would talk to me about it, because I was like, no, I don't want to just order at a counter and sit down. Like for me, part of going out is like the whole experience and the magic. Going out to eat was like something super special we did when I was growing up. Both my parents were teachers, so it was something we did like maybe twice a year. And so it has always like been this thing that I just like love doing. And so that was kind of my pause with it all. But what I saw when I was at Birdie's, and what I'm looking forward to doing, is still mixing this idea of counter service with like high touch, high care hospitality. So,
well, let's talk about that, because as I mentioned to you, and I said this as well in the other interview, like my concern with the process is that all the dishes are going to come to me at once, right? Like how many times are you told when you're in a restaurant that's not counter service, where they're like, the chef would like you to put everything in? And I'm always like, okay, but like, are you going to course it? Because I don't want you coming.
You want to relax and take your time.
I don't want to be, forced to eat on somebody else's schedule. I know you want to get me out of here and turn it over, and I'm compliant to that. But I do want to make sure that we're in a relationship here where like the food is coming at a decent time.
Yes.
So that it's not like, immediate if I'm not in a rush, you know?
So I think, when you come up to the counter and order, one of, our team members will be there, and it's someone who knows the whole menu, can talk to you about all the wines we're pouring by the glass, wines by the bottle. So we'll have, maybe 15 different wines by the glass, a couple pour over cocktails, some beers, and a pretty fun wine list. So Audrey, our beverage director, is working on a wine list that'll be like 100 bottles to start, going up to about 150 shortly thereafter, and then a little gems list of some special things that she's really excited about.
I assume you still have some decent wine.
We are starting all over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, our cellar at home looks very full right now.
Okay. That's not so bad.
Yeah, no. Okay. And we had sold most of it.
We want Audrey to have her point of view be her point of view and not dictated or guided by what was left over from the previous spot.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And then so you order at the counter, you get your drink in your hand, and you go and sit down. And then once you sit down, it's a restaurant like you've experienced before. I think that's the piece that is different than like counter service fast casual. Once you sit down, you're not getting up again. You're sitting down, you're relaxing. Someone's going to come over, pour you water, and let you know that like they're going to be taking care of you from there on out. So you're going to get cleared during your savory course. You're going to get cleared before your entrees hit. Everything's going to still be coursed out, and then they'll take your dessert order later when you're ready. They'll get you more drinks as you need them. So once you sit down, it is a restaurant experience like you've always had, but that one change on the front end really does change the flow of the restaurant. It changes staffing of the restaurant, and that staffing piece, as we're trying to figure out how to make it more sustainable, is really important, because one of the things we have to do is figure out how to run with a smaller team in a way that won't impact a guest experience. And I think if we tried to do what we're doing and try to cut our staff by saying, okay, everyone's just going to have 10 tables, that's going to be a terrible hospitality experience.
Yeah, not somewhere that any of those lovely people want to work.
Right. So we had to think about how we could uphold our standards of service and make sure it still felt like a place that people were going to, one of my favorite questions always to ask when people come in is like, why here? Of all the gin joints in town, like, why'd you pick us? And like learning that. And I think that's why we ended up with so many regulars over the years, and hopefully will again, is people end up feeling like a real connection to the space, because we look for a team of people who are like, first and foremost, kind and curious. Without those things, like, what are you doing in hospitality? So kind people and curious people who want to learn about the food, want to learn about all the beverage stuff, and also want to learn about our guests and find ways to connect. I think connecting is really important. I think it's something we need now more than ever.
Absolutely.
And so I think that will continue to be a hallmark of what we do. And by figuring out how to run with slightly fewer people in the front, it means that we'll be able to continue to like really offer competitive wages, offer healthcare to all of our team, offer PTO. Like hourly teams to have PTO in the restaurant industry is kind of unheard of. Very few people are able to do it, and there are others doing it in our city. We're not the only ones, but that's like really important to us. So we started with what are all the things that are non-negotiables as owners of a business, and then how do we build a business that allows for that, and then how is that business sustainable? And so that's where we've kind of landed. And we were really lucky that we had friends with Arjav and Tracy, and that they kind of let us in.
Blazed the trail, as it were, and were just incredibly generous and kind in sharing numbers, theories on everything, and how it all came into play, and
it feels like it's this like case, like a white paper, it's a case study, and I'm just so interested to see how you all do and where it goes. I mean, it's exciting. I do believe it's breaking the mold, and it 100%. Needs to be broken. Why the name?
Well,
dogs. We're all dog people here,
right?
Yeah. So we have two dogs.
Can we see?
Both are lovely. Oh, this gentleman has passed away recently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The other two are on my thighs, so you'll have to you'll have to ask me later.
Okay.
But Charlie and Rye are our two dogs. Charlie, both rescues. We're big on rescues. Charlie is very much a Rottweiler. I don't know if she's purebred or not. Her nickname is Bunny because she hops around like a bunny. It's just kind of that simple.
Okay.
Rye is his real name is Rigel, but his nickname is Rye.
Love it.
And he's our monster Siberian Husky and
I definitely want to see pictures.
Saint Bernard mix.
He's
just the big sweet man. So
okay, last question as we wrap up here. And I cannot wait to like either bring you guys back on Foodie and the Beast or do something together once
we're open. Of course.
I demand more caviar, but
yes, oh, absolutely.
We'll
Maryland Caviar.
Great.
Maryland Caviar. So you're taking the little sabbatical, if you will.
Yeah.
I've seen you out and about. So right now, what's exciting you about what's happening in the DC dining scene? Like, where have you been where you're like, oh,
There's so
man,
much.
that was so good. Give me two bites.
As we've been talking about this, we lived in Adams Morgan for a very, very long time, and it's just so lovely to see that area getting even more restaurants. And we were at Maison, the lovely place, from Matt and the I don't know the name of the group actually.
The Popol Group.
There you go.
I had them on last week.
Nice. And it was just
incredible.
like it felt like a very special place. The food was great. Jill mentioned this when we were talking earlier. There's like a little beet tart situation on the menu that is a really unique dish, and that was really fun. And it's just so nice to see. And I know there are even a couple more things happening in Adams Morgan in the next year that I don't know they're super public yet, so I won't mention them, but that are going to be very exciting for that area. I'm meeting a good friend at Kana next week for a drink, and I'm really excited. I haven't made it yet somehow.
Oh, Kana's great.
And so yeah, I'm thrilled that Adams Morgan seems to be like kind of getting even more exciting places back in.
Well, and especially if it starts coming down 18th Street, right? Because where you all are, Lanier, and then into Columbia, that has had a little bit of a resurgence. Yeah.
Okay. We talk about. I have a list of places I haven't been that's growing by the moment. But earlier you said, food to you kind of sings when it's hospitality on a plate, and that really resonated with me, and I've been thinking about it since you said that, and that makes me think of the places I go to time and time again. It's just really honest cooking that's delicious, and for me I'm also about to name so many pizza spots, but Izakaya Seki, not a pizza spot, but run by father-daughter team who are just incredible and so dedicated. I have no idea how Seki Senior is still cooking on the line 5 nights a week. It blows my mind. I don't think I'll be able to do that. And then, Two Amy's, that's stalwart. I always feel that way. Martha Deer, owned by 2 of our former colleagues.
They're amazing.
And
we're very lucky that we've had quite a few Tail Up Goat couples, so that is one of them. And so that is the place we go to time and time again, probably our most visited restaurant. And then also, Peter's son, Oliver, Bar Del Monte. And so literally I'm naming 3 pizza places in some ways, but they're all known for pizza, but they're all so much more than pizza.
They're all so much more. And they all 3 do things incredibly differently.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Even though Bar Del Monte is related to Two Amy's, the vibe, the feel, the food, everything is incredibly different.
I could go to 1, 2, 3 nights in a row and have totally different meals and not feel like I was at the same restaurant. But those are just some of my favorites.
And anything Rafidi does, I love.
Michael's.
We ran into each other at Yellow in Union Market.
He's a great guy, and his food
Aldi's the best.
It's just incredible. We did this dinner series. We had a guest chef every month for our final year being open, and they were coming from all around the country. And we'd, take them and anybody they brought out for an evening. And whenever I asked them, where do you want to go? They almost inevitably all be.
And we're great, let's go.
We're fantastic.
There's a reason.
Let's go. A really good reason to go back month after month. So I think we ended up taking at least 4, maybe 5 of the chefs there. Yeah. And the team there is just amazing. And the food is just always, it blows. I've eaten there now a number of times thanks to this. And very grateful for that. And even me, every time, it just really blows me away.
Yeah,
it deserves intentionality.
It deserves the attention.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's very special.
And the team's great.
I'm going to wrap you up.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I'm so glad we had this time together.
Thank you. It's so nice to catch up.
I know.
Really.
At a table together instead of
so much fun.
Up. Yeah.
So I'm so glad to have had you both.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Rye Bunny. It's coming in April. You need to mark your calendars. We hope it's April, right?
Yes,
April. Really breaking the mold of how restaurants function, not just survive, but thrive. I cannot wait to see what they do.
Thank you.
Stay tuned because we're going to be cooking with Chef Mama. We'll be back in just a sec. So I'm so delighted that I get to be back at Rim Tang again. Yume Hospitality Group has been so generous in hosting Industry Night for the last 4 episodes. And I just thought that I would be here at Rim Tang with Chef Mama and Chef Peter.
Hi.
And we are going to be you're making me a special dish. What are we eating today?
Today we can make a papaya salad.
Papaya salad. So here's the thing, when we do a Thai papaya salad, is it green papaya? Like, is it a ripe papaya or an unripe papaya?
Oh, green papaya.
Green. So it's unripe, right? And so tell me what you're going to be doing here today.
They make what we make now, right? We're gonna put chili.
Chili.
Not too spicy for you.
Okay. What kind of chili?
Called Thai chili.
Thai chilies. Okay. So we're using Thai chilies.
And one garlic.
Fresh garlic.
And we're gonna make.
Okay. So we're mashing it up.
Yeah.
And you said this bowl is tiny compared to your big
I have
downstairs, right? I'll have to get a picture of it.
Bigger size.
So you're just breaking everything up?
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
Now we have to
smell
put
the pepper and garlic come up.
and
Green beans?
green bean.
Green bean.
We mashed green beans in?
Yeah.
What? I'm sort of shocked by that. What does the green bean do? You can keep going. What does the green bean do?
Yeah, it's like a nice and flavor, like crispy. Like when you have like the green taste,
More
to come out
taste,
with
yeah.
more with perfect with the papaya.
Oh, okay, great. All right, what's next?
Okay, next we're gonna put this one.
Tomatoes.
Tomato.
And we're going to muddle it all together.
Yeah.
Great.
And this one. Okay, I put down here.
Uh-huh.
Pyramid.
Okay. So you're just muddling it all together to create like a paste.
Yeah. And number 3 gonna be
Limes.
lime. About 4 pieces. 4 pieces are perfect.
So you're putting in the limes with the skin.
Yeah.
Okay. Why bother zesting, right? No need to zest.
Yeah,
Excellent.
because my country and Thailand, you put a skin with the food, everything your stomach gonna be good.
Oh, it helps with your
Help.
stomach.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here for that. All right.
Gonna be a sauce.
Fish sauce.
Yeah, the fish sauce, we put a fish sauce, palm sugar, and tamarind juice.
Oh, okay.
Mix together.
Mm-hmm.
Put inside.
So it's a mixture of fish sauce, tamarind juice,
Yeah.
And the palm sugar.
and the palm sugar.
Palm sugar, yeah.
So it just gives that little bit of sweetness.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And this one,
Yes.
we're gonna put what's it? Sugar?
More sugar.
Yeah, more sugar a little bit
Okay.
because we not use MSG.
Okay.
we not use MSG.
Uh-huh.
And gonna be this one.
Peanuts?
Cow peanut.
Ground peanut.
Chopped peanuts.
Yeah, chopped
Okay.
peanut.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then what is that over there?
Dry
shrimp.
Dry shrimp. That's what I thought.
And
Okay.
this one, we make about for for the perfect for the sauce or everything. Yeah. This one you can make at home.
Actually, watching you make it,
Okay.
it's amazing how easy it is to make. So you're just muddling it all. Basically, what you're muddling is the dressing,
Yeah.
right? And then you're going to muddle it all together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of go like that.
Is this why you have such strong arms? Right? She's hammering it. Like she's hammering it like crazy.
Yeah, she like have the big one.
Yeah,
It's like
right.
a
I mean, I have to get photos of you with the big one. That's amazing.
This is why I'm a what's it called?
You're strong.
Strong.
Yes.
Look like a Popeye wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's one with that.
Yeah. So I didn't realize when you made papaya salad that it was all mushed in together. Do you know what I mean? I just assumed you made a dressing and like tossed it, but this is totally different. You really allow the flavors to come together, right? Through the muddling.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? And then how do you serve it here at Rim Tang? You serve it just like this?
Yeah,
Like that.
with fresh vegetable, and like with like different type like the green pea. Like sometimes it's like spicy, right?
Okay.
They can eat with that, and also with the sticky rice also too.
With sticky rice, which I believe we have some right here. No, this is just your
That's
job.
it.
But if we were
We have
eating
this.
here, we would be having sticky rice.
We
Beautiful.
we can put for you too.
Great.
This one peanut
Peanuts.
on top
Okay.
and dry
A
shrimp.
little dried shrimp.
Yeah.
Just a little more crunch.
Some people don't like too much, and I
Right.
put a little bit first. Then you want more, then we can put more for you.
It's beautiful. Okay. The papaya salad
Som
here
tam.
at Rim Tang. Chef Mama and Chef
Som tam.
Peter. Som tam.
Som tam.
Som tam.
Some tum.
Yeah.
Some tum. I'm working on my Thai. It's good. I'm going to be really good at it too. Thank you for hosting us. And
Thank you
for
so
this gorgeous
much.
dish. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, wasn't that delicious? I can't tell you how much I appreciate, first of all, my new sponsor, Maryland Caviar, for bringing me that huge tin onto the show of Imperial Gold. I love what Chef John suggested to do with it because it's not something I think of doing with caviar. I just want to eat it with a spoon because it's so yummy. And I'm so grateful for Jill and John of joining us today and really walking us through really the changes that they've been through in hospitality and the changes that they hope to see going forward with their new concept, Rye Baby. No, sorry. I got to do that again.
Rye Bunny.
Well, because there is a bartender here in town, and his handle is Rye Baby. That's all I could say. Okay. With their new concept, Rye Bunny. Stay tuned. It opens in April. And how delicious was that? Thank you again to the team from Yume Hospitality for hosting me here at Rim Tang with Chef Mama and Chef Peter. And although you didn't see her, White Cece was with us as well. And we got to make such an amazing dish. And I learned about muddling and how that changes the flavor of your papaya salad. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I get to do such amazing things on this show, and I'm so grateful for it. You know to follow me at NYCCINELLIS on all the platforms. Everything you heard here today, not only can you listen to on your favorite podcast platform, but you can check it out at YouTube, and don't miss the shorts. Follow me on Insta because you'll see all the things. And, don't forget the listareyouwanted.com. Don't forget Foodie and the Beast. All the things that I do. There is so much good out there, despite a lot of negativity. So let's focus on the good, shall we? Be safe out there and have a delicious week.
Produced by Heartcast Media.